Hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake. My name is Rob Hayes. Andy Moore alongside me in the studio this Thursday evening. Look at this. We're starting with a smile. We're doing our best to start with a smile. I know what you're thinking. If you're watching along live, if you're watching back, if you're listening back, however you consume our podcasts and our shows, strap yourselves in. It's not going to be an easy one. And we would very much like to hear from you. If you are watching live, please do get the comments in. We'd like to hear your thoughts, what you want our thoughts on as well. But I want to start, even before I do the advert for the website, which, I normally do right at the very beginning. I want to start with some nostalgia, some For Fox's Sake related nostalgia. Nothing to do with the terrible predicament we're in as a football club right now. On this day, this very day, 11 years ago, the first ever episode of For Fox's Sake was recorded and put out to the world 11 years ago. Now, we have had many a rebrand since then, mainly when Pete gets bored. He likes to get his old graphics head on and change a few things, tweak a few things. And this was his graphic for the opening show. Let's just stick it up on there for you. Look at that.
Lovely. Look at that fresh face.
Yeah, not a wrinkle in sight on that for me or Pete. 11 years of For Fox's Sake, 11 years of following Leicester City to this degree has put us looking like this. There you go. I just thought that was very interesting that popped up on my Facebook memories earlier on today. I haven't even shown Pete that, so the chances are if he's watching this while he's supposed to be working this evening, he might have seen that for the first time. Anyway, the show is called Are We at Rock Bottom, Andy? And it's a question that you asked in our discussion group on social media. So if you're not part of those discussion groups on social media, get on there and let us know your thoughts. It's a question you've asked in your 5 things we learned from Leicester 3, Southampton 4 on Tuesday night on forfoxsake.news, our website. £5 a month to subscribe. I'm sure you know by now, if you're watching or listening to this, forfoxsake.news will get you more and more of our thoughts. Loads of interviews on there with players, pundits, journalists, whatever. So let's open the show with a question. Andy, and those of you watching along live with us, are we at rock bottom?
I'm still not sure. 2 days after the debacle of Tuesday night, I'm still not sure. I don't think we are yet, which is worrying. It's not going to get any better any soon, is it? The way we are, it just seems to be going further and further down each time we play a game. So I just don't see it being rock bottom. I don't think we'll get there until probably we've got a manager or we've gone down into League One next season, if that's what happens. So I don't think we're quite there. I think we've got a little bit of a rough ride coming, a roller coaster still. Will we, won't we stay up? That's the question, isn't it? And I think we can't be at rock bottom if we're going to go down, because at the minute we're still out of the way of those relegation places. But it's very, very depressing being a Leicester fan at the moment. It's hard work. I've seen a couple of tweets from other people saying, you know what, I've been a fan for so long that actually it's more of a chore these days to actually sit there and watch it. You buy your season ticket and you go down there and you know what's coming and you still go, and rather than feeling a bit of excitement because it's football, it's Leicester City, it's just let's go down there, see what happens, probably another loss, and yeah, we move on to the next game. It's a bit of apathy, isn't it? It's what is going on that we can't get excited to watch Leicester City, this team that we've followed all our lives, and look where it's going now. It's just an awful situation that we're in.
It is, and the scary thing is that the way that we all felt on Tuesday night, particularly after the hour mark, let's be honest, it's hard to then look at the league table at that point and look at a club legend like Andy King stood there, lost for words, powerless to do anything about it. And it's hard to look at that and know that and predict that there is still probably worse to come. and that rock bottom, if what it felt like on Tuesday night felt like rock bottom, but when you take a step back and you look at it, you go, actually, things could and potentially will get even worse. That's talking of that second half. Pete Selby, I knew he would be. He's pretending to be at work tonight, but I knew he would be watching the show. He said, "Oh my god, that photo was worse than the second half." Now, I showed it the first couple of minutes before we had as many live viewers as we do now, so I am just going to do Pete Selby a favour and pop it up one more time. If you are just joining us live, it was 11 years ago today our first episode aired, and there's fresh-faced Pete Selby and I in the first incarnation of the Fox 8 podcast, just to annoy Pete a little bit more and show that one again. We've also had a comment in from Thomas who says, if it makes you feel better, I live just outside Southampton, play 8-a-side with Saints fans 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and getting verbally peppered. Probably shouldn't have gloated in the WhatsApp chat in the first half. Yeah, even though we were 3-0 up, Thomas. Yeah, you probably should have gone, well, this is Leicester City. Not just Leicester City. This is the current Leicester City. And that's the thing, because there have been some dreadful Leicester teams in the, let's give it 30 years that I've been consciously following them, right? Some terrible games that I've witnessed, some terrible teams, some terrible players, but never have I felt that the players were mentally miles away from what it means to put a Leicester shirt on. And I think that's the biggest thing, because if you talk about the team that was constantly finishing 17th in the Championship, that I season ticket for many years during that really, really terrible era of us just buying random mid-table Scottish Premiership players and watching them try and play in the Championship. But their excuse was they weren't good enough, and that technically is not their fault. You know, the clubs recruited them; they weren't good enough to be playing for Leicester City. You know, you've had in the last few years the shift in mentality at the football club from top to bottom, from bottom to top, has shifted so much that we've gone from riding on the back of the success of winning the Premier League, kind of masking things a little bit with the FA Cup win, because it went very downhill very quickly after that, didn't it? And then, you know, you've gone from that to riding on a wave of past success to then a bit of complacency and mismanagement in terms of contracts of players, and not doing what an elite manager like Brendan Rodgers said, and refreshing the squad. He said it. He said it way before he got fired. This needs to happen. It didn't happen. And the complacency then has set in. And now what we have are players that, I don't care what Andy King said. Andy King said today that players that don't care about Leicester City will not wear the shirt on his watch. I don't believe that he's saying that with the whole truth behind it. I think he's just saying that to try to protect the players a little bit, in my personal opinion. We've got players at this football club who are cashing in, who get paid regardless, whether they all they're doing is training, whether they're coming on for 10 minutes, whether they're wandering about for 60 minutes, whether they're surrendering a 3-0 lead. They get paid, and ultimately not enough of them care enough about Leicester City to get us out of this mess, and that was very much proven on Tuesday night.
Yeah, 100%. And one of my pieces, I think it might have been the 5 things piece. I actually put a photo in that I don't know whether anybody caught it. It was Mukasa celebrating after he'd scored, and actually it had Harry Winks behind it. And I think Harry Winks has come in for obviously a lot of criticism and what's gone on kind of thing. And I don't think we know 100% the whole story behind it, whether he was down in tools or anything like that. I don't think we'll probably ever know unless he pulls an autobiography out of his hat down the line. But his face said to me that he cared. He was celebrating Mukasa's goal, and he had like he did, had echoes of that game against West Brom where we scored a last-minute winner. He scored it, I think it was. And he was celebrating with the fans there, kind of thing. for me, people like him are showing, and that he cares about the club. But on the flip side, then you've got other people who are just look like they're going through the motions. And am I putting somebody like a Ricardo Pereira in that? Is he going through the motions? Yes, he's club captain. But is he going through the motions, or is it that he's just dropped off to such a degree that he's not physically capable these days of playing championship football, which is very sad in itself, because this is a guy who played Portugal. This is a guy who's played regularly in the Premier League and was ripping it up in the Premier League in those first few years with us. So again, it's me. Which ones are we? Who are we picking out here as not caring? We've all got the feeling that Jordan Ayew is not caring at the minute. I think he's one that could be jettisoned. But then, what others are? Is he Yannick Vestergaard caring? And we just don't know about him. I flip from side to side with him. I never know whether I think he actually cares about the club or wants to play for Leicester City, or is he just chasing his big wage packet? And it was the same with Sumari. I felt he was one that for 90% of the time he didn't care, but then there was this odd performance here or there that I thought to myself, that's who we signed. That's why we signed you. And so it's hard to pick out. It's everything's in the flux. It's so hard to pick out who's cares and have we got enough that in the squad that care, because obviously the young guys are going to care because they want to have a career in the game. They can see that playing for a side like Leicester City on paper is a benefit for them to have a long career. But then there's so many others you can ask about. Luke Thomas, Hamza Chowdhury, guys that have been with us from the academy. Do they care, or has it got to that stage where these guys that have come through the academy just do not care anymore because they're on such a wage packet, because of the mismanagement of wages that's happened 3-4 years ago? I mean, giving Luke Thomas a 4-year contract just before Christmas, it's outrageous considering who he is and how he's been playing. What has he done to earn that 4-year contract? Obviously he's done nothing to earn it since he got that, but before that, what did he do to earn that contract? So it's such a hard thing to say who actually cares in this club. And we've obviously got Andy King, who I've got no doubt cares, but is he protecting some people, and should he be calling out people more and more just to get some kind of fight in those that do care? It's so hard to. I'm all over the place. My brain's scrambled. It really is, because I just don't know what to think anymore, because it's got such to that stage that I just don't know how to think about Leicester City as a club, what my feelings are towards the club these days. Obviously, I'm always going to be a fan and I love the club and things like that, but it is bloody hard to sit there and watch them and support them at this stage. And yeah, it's hard.
It is very difficult, and at some point during this show later on, we will look towards the Leicester game against Southampton, the FA Cup game on Saturday. And in my preview article, 5 things to look out for, which will be on forfucksake.news shortly after this show is wrapped up, I'll give you a little sneak preview. One of my questions, one of the things that I'm actually sort of looking out for in terms of conversations with fellow supporters, social media, etc., is do many people actually care about the result on Saturday? Well, not just because it's the FA Cup, but actually because the wider issues at the club are so huge that actually an individual game doesn't really matter that much anymore. Let's go back into the comments. We've got a lot of people watching along live. Good to have you with us this evening on For Fox's Sake. Jamie Wade saying that Rudkin has put this club in this position with stupid contracts for average players. We must get a good director of football. Yeah, director of football and a technical director, whether they're one and the same thing or whether they're 2 different roles at the club, who actually knows these days. But that was one of the promises made in Top's previous round of media. Well, it wasn't a round of media conversation, was it? It was a very well set up conversation with the club's media team back in November. And we have not got the time, the resources, or the energy to go into every poor decision or everything that has happened in terms of the club's ownership and hierarchy over the last few years. But a good point there, absolutely. And somebody who would come into that role with a very clear plan, not just for the short term, but medium and long term planning as well. I think he's been very blind from Leicester City, hasn't it? And you mentioned there with contracts for like Luke Thomas, but again, it's been happening for years where players that we should have kept or should have sold on for a lot of money were able to run down their contracts, and then other players who shouldn't have had their contracts renewed, or certainly shouldn't have had them renewed on that wage for that period of time, have somehow got new deals out of it. And it is stifling us financially when it's very clear at the moment that King Power have got a huge amount of financial issues themselves in terms of the business that ultimately is the money-making arm to put into the football club. Big problems there. And so the mismanagement on a football level and contractual level, coupled with the King Power business issues, means that we're twice over the financial difficulties are there. Richard Houston's commented saying we need to stop the rot on the pitch. Football is about confidence, absolutely. And Andy King said that said what we could all see, actually, that the players at the moment are extremely fragile. As soon as the first Southampton goal went in and there was even a sniff of a comeback, you could see the players shrunk to within themselves. You could tell, even though the King Power was only about half full anyway, you could tell the supporters there were not in anywhere near full confidence that Leicester were going to see out a victory. And bear in mind, this goal went in on the hour mark. It's 3-1 with 30 minutes to play. And nobody thought Leicester were going to win the game, or nobody had enough confidence to say outright. Let's have a look. Thomas is also saying that it's unlikely that the players have got League One relegation clauses in their contracts, and that will financially cripple us again. Yeah, I watched something earlier as well that said that because of the only spending one season in the Prem last year, Leicester would only be then eligible for one more year of parachute payments next year in League One. And if they don't get out of it then, we're in absolutely massive trouble. So we go back to the question, are we at rock bottom? Oh no, it could get a whole lot worse. Let's have a look at what Paolo is saying as well. Leicester City pay players high basic wages where they should pay them low basic wage with high incentives to make the wages higher. Totally agree. For obviously these figures aren't always are not necessarily published directly from the clubs, but people that know a thing or two about football finance put together the approximate salaries of these players. And you're absolutely right. The basic salary for lots of the Leicester players is and has been for a long time far too high. And I think it started when the players got rightly rewarded for winning the Premier League. But those are the players who pulled off one of the most incredible sporting achievements in the history of the world in any sport, right? They were a completely different breed of players to what we're watching 10 years on. They deserved those bonuses. Absolutely they did. And whether that spent too much money on the club and that's had a knock-on effect since, probably not. There's a lot of decisions that happen in between them, but these players at the moment don't deserve the money that they're earning, not by a long stretch. You can't be earning that much money. And yes, okay, we're sitting outside the relegation zone on goal difference thanks to a 6-point deduction, but we'd still only be about 18th and 19th or whatever it would be. You absolutely don't deserve it at the moment. And I think the frustrating thing for us, there's always been the divide between fans and players, hasn't there? Particularly since the game went, since Sky Sports really, and the wages just became mad for footballers. But I think that's another reason. It's not really been talked about, but I think that's another reason for the disconnect between Leicester fans and Leicester players. If you're, let's say, you're not a season ticket holder, but you're somebody who picks up, I don't know, tickets to 10, 12 games a season, you are not going to be spending your hard-earned money on going to watch these. It's almost like you did a brilliant piece a few weeks ago, Andy, on the planned boycotts organised by people on Twitter, King Power out, those kind of groups. But Tuesday night, it wasn't like a mass exodus when the third or the fourth Southampton goal went in. there weren't many bums on seats to begin with. The fans are voting with their feet.
Yeah, simple as that, and that's what they are doing, and I think they'll continue to do that, and I think it's only going to get worse. They are watching a side that, like you say, nobody has any connection with at the moment. They've not had any connection with for a number of seasons now. Let's be honest, the last probably time we had a connection was under Maresca. So what's that, 2.5 seasons ago now? It's such a sad state that we're in, that people like me, you, everybody else, I'm seeing it all over Twitter that people are saying, let's not buy season tickets and let's hit them in the pocket where it's going to hurt them the most. And to a degree, I get that kind of thing. And yes, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Let's go and do that. Let's all give us season tickets up and hit them in the pocket. But I mean, for me, I've worked bloody hard to get my season ticket over the last, God knows what, how many it was. I've had a season ticket now for 3 or 4 years, I think it is. But before that, it took me 4 or 5 years because I was coming in on the back of the Premier League win and things like that. So if I suddenly give that up and then all of a sudden they turn around and improve and quickly improve kind of thing, then I've wasted all my points that I've had for so long kind of thing by giving up my season ticket. So again, it's not something that I'll personally be doing because I will stick through it. I'm sure somewhere down the line, I can't tell you how many years it's going to be, but somewhere down the line we'll be proud of this side again. And I think that's what we need. We need a side. And I put it in my 5 things pieces about blowing the side up. I honestly do think that we need to blow that side up. And I think I kept probably 4 or 5 of them from the squad. The rest of them I would just get rid of and just clean the slate. Let's start a different culture. I've said it needs to be obviously under a new director of football, a new manager. And if we can't get an elite name in, and I don't think we can get an elite name in, somebody that we really want, then stick it on somebody that's going to be a project manager, but no, it's going to be a rough few years under him. He's going to have to build it. And I mean, I think obviously we've seen Thomas Frank go recently. I said in an ideal situation, I'd love Thomas Frank to come in. Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Simple as that. I can dream about it, yeah. And again, the other area I put is Michael Scabala. He was obviously at Lincoln. He's from my school, Lutterworth. I think he was PE teacher down there, but he's not. I think I know the family as well. They're from around my local area, kind of thing. But I wouldn't say no to get him. Give him a go. It can't do any worse. You could come in on a cheap wage and give him full reign with a decent director of football to have a go at changing the fortunes, changing the culture, playing a different brand of football. Because I think that's the big part of it. I'm bored of this brand of football. It's tedious at times. It was tedious under Maresca, but because we were winning, it was palatable, isn't it? You could take it, but I'm bored of this type of football. I mean, I know it's football today, essentially. Apart from certainly in the top league, it's this passing around and don't make mistakes and moving it forward and trying to break through lines and things like that. It's not the most exciting. I long for a bit of long ball 4-4-2 up to the big man, whack it in the goal kind of thing. But I'm all for a change. So if it means bringing somebody in like a Michael Scabala, who's got no real pedigree, but he's doing all right for Lincoln. Yes, it's Lincoln, it's League One, but why not? It could turn out to be a masterstroke. It's the same situation. What really did Nigel Pearson have under him before he came to us, kind of thing? It wasn't massive amounts. So let's pick somebody like him, and if that's what it is, it's somebody cheap, and he can have an Andy King on the side with him. He can bring a couple of others on the side with him. Let's change the brand of football. Let's change the players who can't play this football anyway, and let's start again and have a different culture at the club, because I think that's what it needs. I think we've said about the culture off the pitch, it needs a different change on the pitch as well. It is a whole reset. So blow the whole thing up, keep a handful of players, and move forward in a different direction.
It's big talk, isn't it? But ultimately, we are still smack bang in the middle of a season, and there is football still to be played. Just on the managerial thing, Thomas is saying that we aren't an attractive proposition to any manager. Absolutely agree, and that Forest have appointed a manager within 24 hours, and we're months down the line for a director of football, let alone a manager. Absolutely. Michael, good evening to you, saying that Skabala might be okay, but we'll be in League One next season and Lincoln will be in the Championship. I presume that's if we don't pick up Skabala and we just end up trading places. We're coming towards the last 5 minutes of the show, and we haven't really talked about football. We've just talked about we just had a little rant, haven't we, and a little bit of a therapy session, if you will. But Andy King said today that he has seen the last few games, but definitely sees Saturday as a bit of a shop window for some players, not in terms of trying to sell them, but in terms of them trying to show what they can do to the potential new manager coming in. And I think Andy King has been quite smart in the way that he has never once shown any interest whatsoever in having the managerial job full time. Now, if Leicester were in a position where our manager had moved on because he'd been poached by a Premier League team, say, and we were the fans were feeling good about the club, the ownership was making the right decisions, we're in the sort of playoff fight in the Championship. If Andy King had come in as interim manager in that scenario, I think it probably would have been a good place to start your managerial career. But I have nothing but respect for him for continuing to distance himself from this job full time, because it's not right now, it's nowhere near the kind of job that you want as your first managerial job. But I do believe that he does need to be kept close by whoever the new manager is, because he clearly cares about the team, the club, the fans. He knows better than pretty much anybody in Leicester's recent history what we expect as fans and what Leicester City should be about. So he needs to be in the mix, but not as the actual manager. So in terms of who can be in this shop window on Saturday, there's quite a lot of unavailable players. Vestergaard had hernia surgery, so he's out for a little while. Lascelles' minutes are being managed. Bobby Decordova-Reid still suspended. Obviously, Aribo ineligible. I did also do a little bit of digging into Divine Makassa, because I know he played 6 games for Man City this season, and he did play in the third round. He played the second half in their 10-1 win over Exeter. Somehow didn't get on the score sheet, even though everybody else did. But fun fact for you, new rule in all Football Association competitions this season, you can play for 2 teams in the same season, in the same competition, as long as you don't play in the same round. So you can't play twice in the same round. So he played for City in round 3, but he is eligible for us in round 4. And I think that's a big bonus, because he was one of the first half against Southampton, on Tuesday night, let's not put too much of a downer on it, was one of the best 45 minutes of football we've seen this season. But the issue is obviously how quickly that capitulated in the second period. Jeremy Monga fit and available for Saturday, so I would expect him to start. It's a good opportunity for us to see Richards, because he's not really had a go yet. Lascelles, whether he'll start or not, I don't know. Christiansen's got to come in for Luke Thomas for me, because ultimately he can't get any worse in that respect. And Andy King did say that a big thing that they've been working on this week is defending the box in terms of crosses, but not only in terms of getting rid of the crosses, but stopping the crosses coming in. Because, and in fact, before we talk about Saturday, I wanted to pick your brains about one other thing, because it's been split in opinion, and I want to know yours and everybody else that's watching as well. When we switched to the back 5, when Lascelles came on, that was at 3-1. Now, some people are saying that happened too late. Some people are saying it happened too early, and I thought I had a very clear opinion on it, but actually, lots of people have articulated their points really well. What did you think of the change of shape in terms of when Lascelles came on, or do you think it didn't really have anything to do with that? You think we were always sort of on the downward slope anyway?
I think we might have been already on the downward slope anyway, but I felt it was too late because by that point, Southampton were building that momentum. I think if they'd have made the change straight away after that first goal went in, it might have made a difference. But I think 10, 12, 13 minutes later, whatever it was, Southampton were already pushing by then. And by that point, that confidence was edging out minute by minute, second by second. So it doesn't surprise me. And I just wonder whether if he'd have made that change slightly earlier, that it could have held it out. It could have moved it on. They might have scored a second on 88 minutes and we might have been able to hold off and get the win. I just felt by that point, it was too late for him to come in and make any serious adjustments, any changes, and it allowed them to gain the confidence that they needed. And that's simple, wasn't it? Let's be honest, Andy King's been a coach for, I think it's less than a year. I think he came in under Ruud van Nistelrooy around this time. So
yeah, and straight from the academy, just kind of come
exactly.
in. Or here's an ex-player wanting to get some coaching experience. Yeah. Here he is in the academy. Van Nistelrooy put him in the first team, and now he's managing the team.
I don't get. I'm not on the Andy King hate or anything like that. Or he's doing the best he can and things like that. And he's not experienced enough to be able to know what to do. He's got people like that around him who should be able to give him that feedback. And it's all good learning experience for him at the end of the day. But I'm not on. It was Andy King's fault at all. He made the change. He did what he thought was best at the time, and it didn't work spectacularly, albeit. But yeah, for me, I think it was just slightly too late, and I think we should have tried to nip it in the bud earlier. And I get other people's feelings as well, that should we have even made the change. I agree with them on the change on Patson Daka. I probably want to tuck him off. I felt we needed an outlet, but again, it's 86 minutes I think it was that he came on, something like that. So he'd have been tired. I get that, and his chasing might have been less robust at that point, but no, not for Lascelles. I'd have just put him on slightly earlier, and with Daka, I'd have not took him off at all. I don't want Jordan Ayew in that side. I've been funny with Ayew because I always felt that he was a decent-ish outlet. I think he was sometimes harshly treated by the fans, but I'll probably switch now. I've probably gone on there. I think he's treading water. I think I did a lot of water analogies in my post the other day. On it, and I think he's just treading water. So I don't want to see him the other side again. And if you look at the side for Saturday, yes, Mikasa starts, Richards starts for me, Daka starts for me. I would again try something different. It's the FA Cup. It's not a league thing. FA Cup, play two up top, put Daka and Richards together, put Mikasa in the central midfield role with three behind him, with Mavadidi and Fatu on one side of him, and Skip or somebody in the middle just behind him playing that Ndidi role just in front of the defence. Do that and have a Luco in the side. I wouldn't play Lascelles. Keep him. Why would I want to risk an injury in the FA Cup? I would keep him out the side. Play a Luco. Let's see what he's going to be like. Bring Christensen in. We're going to have to play Pereira, I think. I don't think there's any choice there unless you put Winks in the midfield role and put Skip it right back. I don't know. That's how bad it is. Who would have rather have it right back, Skip or Pereira? It's a funny thing because I think that's the only option we've got that in that side. It really is. It's hard to pick that side, but yeah, change it up. Let's see, do something different. Let's play 4-4-2. Let's play 4-1-2-3-2-1 or whatever. I don't know. It's just try something different. Let's see if anything will stick and change for us.
Yeah, and King, I think, surprised a few people, or not necessarily him, but the news that he considers Richards to be a wide attacking player rather than a striker really disappointed us, because we were celebrating on deadline day, rather than the day after when the transfers actually got confirmed, saying yes, we actually got a centre forward, we got a striker in the window, and then he says no, he basically sees him as backup to Fatu. Let's go back to the comments, see what other people are saying. Just a quick one back on the back five. Back five wasn't the problem. The problem was how we adopted it. Agreed totally, Planet Earth. We'd gone within ourselves at that point already, and had started to drop off and had started to narrow. And then that's when Southampton just kept getting the ball wide, kept getting the balls in the box. And ultimately the fullbacks were probably more isolated in a back five than they were in a back four, because at one point you had Louis Page was playing on the left side of midfield, which is a position I've never seen him play before, but he was just there because that was the personnel that we had on the pitch at that moment to try and fit that formation. So the joy for Southampton was coming down the sides, and it didn't really help in that respect. Let's see what else we've got. Thomas saying, with our running stats and inability to last 90 minutes, Kingy is better off just training in the dark arts and out of time waste, or we can hope for a 0-0 draw. No, because then that's going to put another game. Or does it go to extra time? Extra time these days, isn't it? Would be a cliche. Oh, yeah. We'll just take the silver linings there, won't we? Planet Earth is saying, don't risk Christensen, play Thomas as a wing back. I presume going along the same lines as you, Andy, in the sense that this game does not matter in the slightest in terms of the context of our season. So if you think Christensen is a better option, which I presume Planet Earth is saying there, than Thomas, then don't risk him in this game, bring him back for the next game in the league. Now, I totally agree with you in terms of Jamal Lascelles. I think, and I said this when we signed him, I think he is going to be pivotal to keeping us in this division. I think he is the best signing of the window for me. Yes, Makassa is technically the best signing. Excuse me. But I think Lascelles, in terms of the leadership he brings and the attitude and his conversations in the media from minute one, are exactly the kind of player that needs to be in our dressing room. So
he should still be in that dressing room. Have him on the bench. It doesn't matter like that. And have him there. Have him on the bench. But if you don't need to play him, don't play him. Just leave him on the side. If we end up losing, so be it. It's the FA Cup, like we said. If we win, perfect. He's had another 90 minutes where he's not played, and he's a bit more. Yes, you could say he might need the match fitness, but I'd rather wrap him up in cotton wool because he could be very, very key for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think to that degree, I can also see Lascelles and Andy King delivering the team talks together. Lascelles has been at the club a couple of weeks. I'm not saying that he is going to be the saviour, but we need a saviour basically, and that genuinely could be him. So I think there probably is a way to not play Ricardo. You're probably looking maybe at a Luca at right back, and then you just have to play Nelson and Okoli at centre back again. Then it's Christensen or Thomas at left back, isn't it? That we're very light. I think Monga's going to start down the left. You might also get a rest for Fatawu and Silko Thomas to play down the right. I agree with you. I don't think there's any harm in just chucking Richards and Daka up top together and seeing what happens. They're both pacey. Ultimately, you don't then really need the third man in midfield because you wouldn't be wanting to try and play through the lines in that sense. You'd just be wanting to stick it in the channels and say, go on, lads, have a go at that. And Southampton didn't like being pressed in the first half. No team likes being pressed. And I'm not saying that Leicester should be pressing on the edge of the opponent's penalty area for the entirety of the 90 minutes. It's difficult to keep up, even if you're a professional athlete. But to go from pressing them on the edge of their own box and scoring a goal from it to barely getting out of our own box in an hour's worth of football, that transition happening, less 15 minutes worth of football, then that is the big issue, isn't it? I'm conscious that we're ticking towards 40 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up. But let's take some predictions. So if you're watching along live, pop your predictions in the chat. If I dare read them out, let us know what you think the scoreline's going to be. What kind of a game do you think we're expecting? Because it's a weird one. I would almost rather be going into a league game against a different opponent just to have a complete refresh and say, right, here's a chance to get 3 points on the board straight off the bat of that horrific defeat on Tuesday night. We're playing a different team. Everything's different. It's a complete reset. The problem is it's a competition that nobody really cares about this season. It's risking key players getting injured if they play. It's against the same team that beat us 4-3 on Tuesday night. Andy, what are you expecting?
If I'm going to go for a prediction, I'm going to be ever the optimist. I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton. That's optimistic for me. No, I jest a little bit. It's. I want to see changes. I want to see something different, and I think that's what I'm crying out for. And I think this is the ideal opportunity to make those changes, do something different. Like I've said, it's just move that team around, change the formation, get the young kids in. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what heart and fight they've got, because I'm sure they've got plenty more than quite a lot of that squad who should know better. So yeah, it's I'm expecting a loss. I'm not going down to Southampton after that. I'd love a win, because again, if we did win, is it something that we can springboard off and get momentum just when we thought we might be at that rock bottom or near to it? Actually, could this FA Cup and not caring be the springboard for us, actually, to free our minds and just not care about the result as much, because it doesn't matter, but actually care about the performance and how we do. It's more about the performance more than the result that we get under. If we're losing 2-1 or 1-0 or something like that, or even 2-0, but we've actually put performance in and we've tried hard and you can see that there's fight there, then I'm happy. But I don't expect to win. I'm not expecting it, but I'd love it if we did. Always happy to stay in the FA Cup as long as possible. But yeah, that's where I'm at. 2-0 Southampton, but hopefully with some fight for us.
Interesting. We don't get that many people on, for fuck's sake, on the actual show predicting a defeat. Interesting. Michael said 2-1 Leicester, and Paolo's agreeing with him. Southampton 1, Leicester 2. We'll take those, absolutely. Planet Earth saying hopefully a 1-0 Southampton win. Last thing we need is an extra game, but has then changed their mind and gone actually 0-0 and lose on pens. Just rub the salt in the wounds and make it even more miserable.
Clean sheet again.
Yeah, well, another silver lining. I'm Ronaldo saying a performance. We've not had one good performance this season. Not in terms of a full game.
We live in hope.
You're after a clean sheet and a performance here, right? No, you said 2.
Yeah. I can say ever the optimist, even though it's 2-0.
Thomas, I like this one. 4-3 Leicester. That would be a very interesting way for the universe to be trying to put things right, wouldn't it? 4-3 Leicester. I think I'm gonna join Michael and Paolo and say and say 2-1 Leicester. I think I'm more optimistic now from your last statement there, Andy, that Leicester are going to feel like the pressure is off a little bit. The pressure to sort of survive in the Championship is maybe forgotten about for 90 minutes, and actually a few of the young lads also show that, not carefree because we want them to care, but almost that kind of, can we relax? Can we just go and show what we can do? Because that first half again on Tuesday night proved that we've got some good footballers when things are going well. So what we need to do is use Saturday's game to make them believe that things are going well again, and then, remember how to win games.
I think like we said, if we go there, play all these youngsters, and we end up coming away with a win, then why do you change anything then? They could be in for the rest of the season at that point, and you could jettison all those ones that we're so disappointed with. It's such an opportunity for them if they go down that route and play those kind of players, sprinkled with the odd player, a Skip here, a Winks there, a Daka here. We're obviously putting Daka on a pedestal at the minute, but I think that's just the way it's fallen because of...
Hey, he got a goal and an assist on Tuesday night. What more can the man do?
Exactly.
And he's better than Jordan Ayew, so...
I'm better than Jordan.
It's not difficult, is it? Yeah, I stick you on top. Me and you will play up top. Let's see how that goes. Right, we've ticked well over 40 minutes, and Pete Selby will be sending me a very sarcastic message because it's normally me doing that to him the other way around. So thank you very much to everybody that's watching. Hopefully, we've managed to inject a little bit of cheer into a fairly dire situation sandwiched between two Southampton games. Some of us want to win on Saturday in the FA Cup. Some of us want to get rid of the FA Cup and just focus on the league. But either way, let's at least hope for a half decent performance. We'll speak to you next time.